Another day, another dollar. How's it going, everybody? I haven't said that in a long time. I wanted to say it again because I saw an old video of mine. I hope y'all are doing good. My name is Infamous Isaac. I'm here with a video on Puss in Boots, a movie that came out 2022, late 2022 at that, like around December, I think. It was competing with Avatar 2, funnily enough. It reminded me of like the Animal Crossing, the one that came out on the Switch, and Doom Eternal coming out, and how they had some like a funny rivalry, which I thought was cool. But this a lot of people said that Puss in Boots was better than Avatar 2, right? And some of them meant it as a meme, others truly meant it. So it piqued my interest to see like, all right, how good is Puss in Boots? I forgot what the name is called in the movie, but how good is this movie compared to Avatar 2, which is supposed to be like a blockbuster sell, like, or well, not sell out but hit in the movie theater, right? How good can this movie really be if it's supposed to be better than that, right? So I thought, why not watch it? And my spoiler free, oh, the movie's called Last Switch. There you go. I just had to pull it up on my phone while I was talking. But I watched it, and Reaper actually told me as well, like, yeah, this movie's amazing. This movie's really good. So I was just like, all right, bet. And after watching it, spoiler free stuff first, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this movie. I feel like overall it's an 8.5 to a 9. I feel like the main character had so much personality. He just glued my eyes to the screen. Sometimes his voice acting could be a little like, eh, eh. But most of the time, he was great. He sounded amazing, and so did the other main characters and the other characters integral to the story. I feel like they just had so much personality, so much vibrance. They had life, you know. They weren't boring characters. Even like, and it's not saying like, oh, they're all like vibrant or crazy characters. No, like they all have their own personalities, and I think that's so cool. And they all have their own accents, which I love. It gives it its own individuality, like the same way that Xenoblade has its own accent. So it gives the cast more individuality, which I already mentioned before. But you know, potato potato doesn't matter. So voice acting, great. I think it's great. Could be better, but I think it's great overall. Really makes the characters stick out. The what's it called? The animation was amazing. Oh my goodness, DreamWorks, like, wow, DreamWorks really went in on this Puss in Boots movie. I never watched the Puss in Boots movie before. I think I only watched Shrek, and I was when I was like, you really young, so I don't even remember. But oh my goodness, this movie looks beautiful. It is stunning. Like there, there's two differences between beauty in real life, like CGI type looks, and then beautiful animation. Like, not Xenoverse. I don't know why I was saying that. Demon Slayer season 2, beautiful animation, beautiful. John Wick 4, beautiful looking area and scenery and just overall cinematography. Avatar 2, beautiful CGI. And they all have their own versions of beauty, and to me, I define them differently. So with this beauty, it's generally just like it's stars, like left me starstruck. I was stunned by how good this movie actually looked. It's insane, and I love it for that, honestly. But yeah, so animation, definitely one of the highest points for this movie, for sure. And another thing too, for people who don't want any spoilers but want to know, like, is this a good starting point? I never watched a single Puss in Boots movie before, like I mentioned before. So going into it, this is my first time ever watching one, and I didn't feel lost at all. Sure, like there was some reoccurring characters from other Puss in Boots movies, but it doesn't matter. Like it genuinely doesn't matter. The DreamWorks does a good job just getting you reacquainted with like a some, and even then, their stories from the past don't matter here. And if you're a Puss in Boots fan, I don't know if that like matters to you or not. But if it does, then I don't know. I can't speak for you because I'm not a Puss in Boots extraordinaire, or excuse me. I don't mean to sound disrespectful by saying that. I just mean like again, this is literally my first movie, so I can't speak from experience is what I'm trying to say. But animation aside, I think the story was good. Overall, it had a great, like a good and powerful message. And while the story could be predictable, I feel like the characters and the animation and the jokes just carry the movie enough to be like it doesn't matter, you know? you can predict the story, but at the end of the day, this is a kids movie, and also, even though it's a kids movie, it's still pretty good. Like that's the thing that gets me about this is that this movie doesn't. Well, it's not that it doesn't feel like it should be a kids movie because DreamWorks did a really good job with that too. Like they made this still feel like a kids movie, but it's not exclusively a kids movie, and that's what I was worried about. Where you have kids movies and movies in that demographic, excuse me, tend to treat the audience like they're idiots. Like kids aren't smart, but in reality, they're some of them. Wow, yo, relax. I opened up my phone and the first thing it was on was Instagram. But kids aren't stupid, like not all of them at least. Some of them can be kind of like, but that's because they don't know anything. They're ignorant to the world around them because they haven't learned anything yet, right? So kids aren't stupid, is what I'm trying to say. They just don't know. So even though you're making a kids movie, don't make it like they're stupid. They're not dumb. Like that's the thing that's always gotten me about that. Is that at the end of the day, this is a media uh, form, like genre, that can appeal to anybody, except for when you get to higher ratings where kids shouldn't be watching this. Like again, you shouldn't take your kid to watch John Wick 4, but it's like kids movies. I feel like shouldn't just be for kids. They can appeal to anybody. That's why like E for everybody type of games on games. They they're for everybody. They're not just for kids. And I think that's a good approach where anybody can watch it, and that's a good way to garner more money in a sense, and also just overall make a more enjoyable experience, so the parents can actually enjoy what they're watching too. And I'm not saying that like, oh, all kids movies should be for adults and kids too. Like no, I just mean like it's a good approach every now and then to have. If you don't, if if you're making a kids movie and it's just for kids, then all right, that's fine. Like I'm not a director. I can't tell you what to do. But to me, I feel like movies that I remember that are salient, that stick with me, are or well can be kids movies that aren't only centered towards kids, like SpongeBob. That that isn't centered only just towards kids. Anybody can watch it. Genuinely anybody can watch it, or at least like season 1 through 3 around there. And that's what I think is great. So this movie does that in spades overall. But that aside, again, like the story, it's palatable, like, or palpable or palatable. I don't remember what the word is, but it's good. It's good enough for the movie, so I think it's fine. Overall, I feel like this movie it was good. It was really good. Again, like I'm gonna give it an 8.5 to a 9 out of 10. It surprised me. And while my negatives would probably be just like well, it's not short. It is like an hour and 40 minutes, so it's not like super short. But in the beginning, it was like, oh, this is cool, this is interesting, and then you get to like the middle section of him in a certain area. I can't actually say, but it feels like it slows down a little bit. And I didn't mind the area where it slowed down. It's just for it to pick the pace back up. It was like, oh shoot, okay, now things are getting good again. So it's just a minor nitpick for me. It's hard to explain really without spoiling it, but I feel like this movie, because it's based on fairy tales and like all of the like the Shrek extended universe is based on fairy tales, that you can really just do whatever you want. And that's what I want to mention. This movie's really creative. I think that's so cool. I generally enjoy the fact that it's just this creative. So I gotta give this movie a good rating. So yeah, that's my rating on it. It's creative, it's cool, it's beautiful, it's funny, has personality. Man, this movie was a genuine surprise. And can I say that it's better than Avatar 2? I don't know. I don't know because I didn't like Avatar 2. Like, well, I gave it a 7.5 to an 8. So it was good, but this movie was something else. Like, I I feel like Puss in Boots is a better movie, but like I still like sci-fi more. So I'm more inclined to like Avatar because of sci-fi. But Puss in Boots I feel like is a better movie looking back on it. Even with a shorter runtime, even with the kids' mentality, I feel like it is a better movie because it does take on some dark topics. So I think that's really cool. But yeah, let me go talk into the spoiler section so I can give my full opinion there. Spoiler free section over. So this movie is basically Puss in Boots, but he's on his ninth life, right? And that means he's gone through all eight of the other ones that he had because he's a cat, you know, and it's Puss in Boots. It's in the title, right? And so during one of his escapades, and actually like the first 20 minutes of the movie, 15 to 20 minutes, we see him do something crazy, save a bunch of people, all this stuff, and that's how he loses it, right? And then he has a like an encounter with death, but it's not like metaphorical, theoretical, all that stuff. No, like it's genuinely death. He has come to capture Puss in Boots because the man is arrogant and he's cocky, and so he wants to take his life himself, and which is unfair. It is cheating. Like you can't do that, but also he's deaf, so he can do whatever he wants. And it's like, oh, all right, now Puss in Boots is being chased by death, and the first time like he's ever actually felt fear before, which I think is really cool. So he can't do that. He can't fight death, and once he loses to him, he runs away, and now he's disgraced. He can't be Puss in Boots anymore. So after the doctor told him like he was going to die before he met death, he or like this is his last life, excuse me. He's like, all right, go to this place. She'll help you. And it's a lady who takes care of cats. Like she's a excuse me a cat lady. So I was like, oh shoot, that's cool. But Puss isn't like that. He doesn't like living that life, so he's forced into it. And he's dead inside basically. Like he hates this. He wants to live the life that he loved living, living his own way, his own accord, in his own means, you know. But in that area, he meets a dog. His name, well, his he doesn't have a name. He's just a dog, right? And he becomes Puss's acquaintance for the movie, where he's just a really nice guy. He's clueless. He's ignorant of the world, and just overall, he's a genuinely happy guy, right? And Puss is just like the complete contrast to that because he's dead inside right now. So he's like, shoot, man, what do I do? Like, what's happening? And Goldilocks, actually, one of the people in this movie, shows up and she's like, where is Puss in Boots? And she has her three bears with her. So they're all family. And it's just like, oh shoot, what are you doing here? And they don't find him, but they're outside monologuing. And they're like, what do we do? How are we gonna find this wish and all that, right? And it's like, don't worry, I have a plan. And then Puss in Boots is just like, oh shoot, of the last wish, that can get me back my 9 lives. Oh shoot, all right. And then they mention that it's Jack Horner because he's eavesdropping, by the way. He's not listening or talking to them. He's just listening. But they're like Jack Horner, another fairy tale or well nursery rhyme, which I didn't know about, but it is what it is. So they're like that. That's where we need to go. And Puss in Boots is just like, all right, bet I'll beat them to it then. I'm gonna go find it. And then the dog joins him, and he's like, why are you coming with me? And then he's like, because we're friends. And it's like, oh wow, okay, cool. But they go over to Jack Horner's place, and Puss meets an old acquaintance of his from I actually do remember seeing her before. Because I think that they show trailers of her in like older Puss in Boots movies. It's Kitty Softpaw, I think is her name, and she's a romantic interest for Puss because they're both thieves. They just like each other, and she's scorned by him because she was betrayed by him in Santo Colomo, I think is what it's called, or Santa Colomo. I don't remember what the name is specifically. But by the way, if you didn't notice, this movie is really Hispanic. Puss in Boots is a Hispanic man. Kitty Southpaw is a Hispanic man, or not man, woman, excuse me. Like most of these characters are Hispanic. Like the place where Puss in Boots was at in the beginning of the movie was called Del Mar, which is just like with the ocean, I think, if it's a rough translation. I just think that's so cool, and it really appeals to me because like I'm Hispanic too, so it's like, oh, this is so cool. It's not like even like anywhere specific either. Also, if it's like in Italy or something, but I don't know. But I just think that's so cool, and I love stuff like that, especially since Puss in Boots, he's a character archetype that I love. Uh, a cool, calm-headed, somewhat arrogant Hispanic man who's just saucy. I love characters like that. They're awesome and they're so cool. But yeah, so they meet while they're trying to get Jack Horner's wish because he actually has it right now, and they actually run together, like run away together with the dog with it, and they're being chased, right? And though the way that the wish is handled, and by the way, Goldilocks is also there. She showed up late, and they're all chasing Puss in Boots, Jack Horner, Goldilocks, everything. And Kitty and Puss are just like, all right, bet. So let's just work together for now. And so it's those three with the map, and they find their way to the forest, which is basically where they have to start their journey for the movie. Where that's how they're gonna get their wish is by going through this forest, and the forest changes depending on who's looking at the map. Since the dog looked at the map, it saw sunshine and rainbows because he's generally just a nice guy. Kitty is just poisonous. It's toxic. It's sad. It's depressing. Same with Puss, except it's not poisonous. It's just cold and lonely and afraid. And then Goldilocks, I can't even tell you what it's like. I think it's just cold, but also there's a cabin. So yeah, Puss, Kitty are all just going around. They're talking to Dog. They're finding out his backstory. It turns out that he's actually like he had a family, but they tried to kill him. So he didn't realize that. He thought they were just playing hide and seek, and then Puss and Kitty start feeling bad for him because it's like he doesn't have a family. This is why he wants to be friends. That's so sad. And they're getting to know each other better, all this stuff, and then Jack Horner and Goldilocks catch up. They have this crazy fight with everybody, and Jack Horner is actually like he has a bunch of tools and mechanisms, bro. He has the baker's dozen. He has a bunch of tools. He has Excalibur, but still in the stone, so it's not really Excalibur. And it's just all this crazy stuff. It's awesome. But and by the end of it, Goldilocks gets the map, and then Kitty and Puss have to go find it. All that they manage to find it, and they get split up because Goldilocks took the dog, and so now they have to go back and get him. Kitty goes to get him while Puss is stuck in his chamber, and he has to face all of his reflections and all that. It's super crazy. Kitty manages to get back the dog, and what's it called? Goldilocks is just thinking about it. Like her wish is going to be to have a new family because she doesn't want to burden her three bears, and just she wants to have a human family. But the three bears already see her as family, so you can kind of already tell what's gonna happen with this movie and with her side. But yeah, so they Goldilocks is still chasing Kitty and all that. Puss manages to get out of it of the chamber, but that's because he has a run-in with Death again, and so he's running away. He has the map with him too, and so it seems like he's running away with the map when Kitty finds him, and she feels betrayed because before Dog got kidnapped by the what's it called by Goldilocks, he was talking to Puss, and he was just talking like, well, why'd you guys have this like messy thing? Like, what happened? Why are you guys on bad terms now? And it's because he Puss ran away when they were supposed to get married because he was afraid. And then we find out later on that she also ran away too because she was also afraid. So it's like, oh wow, so he's the bad guy, but then you're also the bad guy. It's like, wow, that's crazy, but whatever. And so they're going to the area now. Puss gets there first, and he's about to make his wish, but Kitty pulls up on him, and she's just like, "I trusted you, man. My wish was going to be to find somebody to trust, and I thought it was you, but you're still the same old Puss in Boots." And Puss is just like, "I'm dying. Like, death is coming after me. That's why I'm making this wish because I'm on my last life." And she's trying to understand, and she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And then Jack Horner shows up and all that, and Goldilocks show up, and they're having this crazy fight. And then the bear, like they're in this arena where if you get sent into the arena, like or the bounds of it, you basically die. And so one of Jack Horner's bakers doesn't get sent in there, and she's just gone. She's cooked. So Goldilocks is almost sent into the thing, and her brother, the youngest one, who's like the just right type thing, from their fairy tale, is almost sent in there, but they managed to catch him, and now they're like, you know what, man, we don't need to wish. We have family right here, so they're out of commission for that. And now it's just Jack Horner and Puss, right? And they managed to get Jack Horner into his bag. Like they actually sent him into a bag. Like he's not locked in. It's just he's literally in a bag. So he's in there with all the tools that he was carrying around. And now it's just Puss and Kitty, and they're talking and all this, and he's telling her everything. And Death shows up, and Death 1v1s Puss and all that. And Puss is done running away. Like he's finally ready to fight because running away has never helped him before. It's led to an isolated and lonely life. So he fights, and he wins his once, not by defeating him, but by defeating himself. So Puss overcomes his fear. He turns back into Puss in Boots, but a better version of Puss in Boots, one who can care for the people closest to him, one who isn't pushing people away, one who understands that living a hedonistic life like this isn't gonna give him fulfillment. And it's just super cool. Like, and Death realizes it's like, dang man, you're not making it any fun. I wanted to kill you because you were a bad guy. Now you're a good guy, and it's like, come on, man. Like, and he's like, fine, whatever. Enjoy your life, dog. I'll come back for you later. And then he leaves, and I was just like, I kind of wish that Death was more like they gave Death a fairer shake because you know, death when you realize it, when you boil it down, is beautiful because everything should be born and come to an end, you know? Like that's just how life is meant to be. So having a beautiful ending isn't a bad thing. It's just that death was coming to kill him. So that's not a beautiful ending. It's just more like retribution for Puss dying 8 times and not being like dead. So I just wish that they showed more in the sense of like death isn't a bad thing. If anything, death is a good thing. So you don't live forever and outlive your loved ones and just sit there existing, having no purpose in life anymore, accomplishing everything. It's like death isn't a bad thing, but you know, it is a kids movie, so it's not like that's kind of too deep for the subject matter. But Last Wish is still kind of a deep movie in general because it's about death in like period. So it's as besides the point. I'm rambling. So he beats Death. Death leaves, and now it's Kitty, Puss, and the dog still, right? And they're all just happy. Goldilocks is over there with her family. They all have come to immense, right? They put the olive branch, and Jack Horner didn't. He did not. He comes back from his bag. He has all the tools that he had from the bag, and he's out, like he's ready. And so he's back, and everybody's fighting him. Everybody's beating him up. They're all having crazy beef, and Puss and Kitty managed to beat him by giving him a splinter by putting their uh I forgot what they're called, but you know, like in fencing, their their blades. I forgot what those are called, but they put those two in his thumbs like splinters, and that looks really painful. I'm not gonna lie to you, but it's crazy. They beat him. They they basically kill him in a sense, and now they're all happy. They rip up the map so nobody else can have the wish, and now Puss in Boots, Kitty, and their newfound friend, almost like child, whose name is Perrito, are all just having a happily ever after. Goldilocks got her wish with her family by not having a wish, and Puss in Boots and Kitty are seemingly almost married now, and Perrito is a part of their family, and it's just super cute. It was genuinely a sweet and wholesome ending, which I really loved. That's what I was hoping for. So that definitely like topped it off for me. It was a simple, concise, thought-provoking movie, but it was great. It was so good. Like I enjoyed it nonetheless. So again, like I think it might be better than Avatar 2 for me. I don't know. It's difficult. It's difficult to say, but I really enjoyed it. So let me know what you guys think down below about this movie. Let me know if you liked it, hated it, think it's better than Avatar 2 if you saw it. And just, yeah, I'm interested to hear your opinions. But this movie to me is an 8.5 to a 9. Not a 10. I don't feel like it's a 10, not yet. But it is good. It is great, even. So, yeah, I can't wait to see what DreamWorks does next with, like, the Shrek franchise. If it's just as good as this one. But one thing that I actually, like, got me a little bit was the intro to, what's it called? Like the DreamWorks logo. You know how like movie companies and production companies have their intros, like Universal, Paramount, all that stuff. DreamWorks is the kid in the with the moon, right? And it's him fishing, and they changed it. They changed it from what it used to be, from what I remember. So now it shows all the DreamWorks properties like Bad Guys, Boss Baby, How to Train Your Dragon, Shrek, Puss in Boots, all this stuff, right? And it was just going through it, and I remember it actually got me teary eyed and had me crying a little bit because I've only watched like two of these movies, maybe even just one, but it's just like it's an encapsulation of the 2010s and the 2000s, and that's where I grew up. That's my time period, right? So it really just hit me like a wave of nostalgia where it's like it was tears of joy, and I'm even crying right now. I'm not gonna lie. It really hit me hard, and I really enjoyed that. So I just it was really good. It was just really good. So thank you to DreamWorks for making this movie, and just thank you all for watching. I'm gonna go cry now after making this video. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.